I think 12 years after you retired from the NFL, you're already in the Hall of Fame. You've been in there for like 18 years. This is your fifth ballot from the College Hall. It seems kind of weird. Some people have told me maybe it has something to do with the fact that you were in the Southwest Conference and Arkansas now is an SEC team, and they don't look at that sometimes. I know you have some other thoughts on the holdup. What do you think's going on here?
Well, first of all, it's an honor just to be considered, to be nominated. But, a lot of people, can say blah, blah, blah. Here's the truth of it. Your point about the Southwest Conference, it's like an orphan era. There's no Southwest Conference now, so there's no dog in the fight. And so nobody cares. Obviously, there's been a change of athletic directors. And, you would think that the athletic director would love to be able to say, hey, we've got 6 guys in the College Football Hall of Fame. That would be a recruiting asset. It would be a publicity asset. I don't know. All I know is it is what it is. And, a lot of people probably in a sneaky way, they go and hire a PR firm and they execute a game plan and all that. I ain't got a game plan. I'm just saying, hey, we had a hell of a team. I was a pretty good player. To be nominated is great, but to get in the Hall of Fame, that'd be super.
A lot of players tell me that, while they're playing, awards don't mean much to them. They're trying to worry about the next game or even when the season's over the next season. It's only after their career's over that they appreciate a lot of these awards. And you got a bunch of them, all first team All-American. One of the newspapers in Houston voted you the Southwest Conference Player of the Year. And so you've done all that stuff. What would it mean to be in the College Hall of Fame?
The Houston Post Award, that was a good one. I still remember that. Very proud of it. They gave me a silver serving tray, sterling silver serving tray with a football field inscribed on it, right? It said Southwest Conference. And I was very proud of it. Of course, the Southwest Conference is gone. The Houston Post is gone. Everything's gone. Even the tray, I don't know where it's at. Right. It's gone too. What would it mean? It would be great. And I think it was Joe Green said getting in the Hall of Fame is like the granddaddy of all awards banquets. After that, there's nothing that compares. After that, it's the end of the line. And so that would be cool. As you know, I have, obviously awesome memories and very proud of what we were able to do at Arkansas. Arkansas had been in a kind of a down cycle, and they had not been like on the national stage for a while. And 3 out of my 4 years, we go to major bowls. I mean, it was a good time. It was a good era. And I don't know, getting in the Hall of Fame would be a great thing. Maybe I'd have another chance to tackle Earl Campbell. Everybody goes, who was the toughest guy to tackle in the pros? I said, the pros, it was in college. It was Earl Campbell.
Yeah, there was that one screenplay against Texas that got him down to the 2-yard line. Yep. And that may have made the difference between an undefeated season or not. I mean, Earl Campbell I saw that play. I was down on the field, and I'm like, what is this? Because you guys did such a great job on them for most of the game.
We did. And again, it was one play away from winning the national championship. So that's good stuff. And boy, it would be great to see Arkansas back on a stage in a level of commitment to where they could play in major games and be in the major bowls again. Because I know all the Razorback fans are dying for that to happen.
Do you think the move to the SEC may have hurt? Would they be a better fit in the Big 12? I mean, what do you think? Would that help?
Well, obviously, Frank Broyles was from Georgia and had a lot of roots in that part of the country. Personally, I imagine the Big 12 would have been geographically much more desirable, and it would allow the Razorbacks to still be a factor in recruiting in Texas. But now, other than a few kids that just maybe want to get away from Texas, it's probably harder for them to recruit Texas. But I still believe and maintain that the foundation of the team has to be from the great state of Arkansas, and there's enough good players. They just got to keep them.
You played around so many guys. I mean, Jimmy Johnson was your first position coach, and Frank was the head coach, and you had all these guys on your team. And what that was an interesting era that you played in because you had two different head coaches with two different styles. What do you remember about all that? Just that period of time.
Well, it's funny, I was in Fayetteville here last fall, I believe, and I mean everything's changed. I mean the kids get their own apartments. They get I mean they almost got like their own suite as a locker. I mean, it was still kind of a life fraught with peril. My dear friend Mike Burlingame, who was my first roommate, said about 5 years ago, he says, looking back, it was like they were trying to run us all off. They were trying to make it that hard. And, I, for one, I'm proud of the fact that it was hard. People go, oh, wow, it's 93 degrees. It's really hot. And I think to myself, on the AstroTurf in Razorback Stadium, we did 100 up downs before we even started stretching. And then we practiced 2 hours and then ran sprints, and then we ran the stadium in 125 degrees. So, it's one of those kind of things that the Russian proverb, that does not kill me only makes me stronger. And we thought, yeah, we could walk on water because we had paid a price.
Yeah, those times were so different. Quick story. Ron Calcagni, I was hearing rumors that he was unfriendly and the guys on the team thought he didn't like to do anything with him. So I just thought, what the hell, I'll ask him. And so I went up to him one day. He said, I don't have any money. He said, I'm not going to go out and suck off other guys and go to the movies or something. I just stay in my dorm room. I don't have, here's your quarterback, and he's dead broke. And these days, that just doesn't happen. You get a big stipend, and first of all, you're not in a dorm, and you're eating food that's a lot better at that Jerry Jones Center than over at Old Wilson Sharp. So there's just so many differences now between what you guys had to go through and what's happening now.
Well, Cal Cagney had a fur coat. Nobody else had a fur coat.
Maybe he spent all his money on that
I
coat.
think that's what it was. And he had these like beetle boots that we all were kind of like mocking. We had a great group of players, and even the group that when I first got there of Greg Cook and R.C. Tillman and Gerald Skinner, and it was offensive line centric. They were the leaders of the team, and Bo Busby, who's now a surgeon in Pine Bluff. I mean, just great people, great coaches. It was a great time to be a Razorback. And like I said, anyone, and you look on a map of the contiguous United States, and you say right there in the middle, that little bitty state. Well, 3 out of my 4 years, we went to 3 major bowls, the Orange, the Fiesta, and the Cotton. It would be like, yeah, right, like that ever happened. So, and it doesn't just happen because people want it to. You got to make it happen. And we had a bunch of guys working hard.
They say that you got to have, if you don't have a coach from Arkansas, you got to have one that understands what it's all about. Frank was like that. Now, they got the guy now, Sam Pittman. He's from over there in eastern Oklahoma, not too far away. And he grew up a Razorback fan. In fact, he came to camp probably about the time you were there. He came as a high school player, and he said Lou caught him and some other guys out running around, and he kicked them out, made them go back home. He said, I blew any chance I ever had of being a Razorback. So he's so happy now to be back. And the day that he was announced, he said, there's no place in America like the University of Arkansas. I mean, you got to have a deal like that, don't you?
Isn't it nice? That's refreshing rather than a bunch of carpetbaggers like Bobby Petrino that look at it as an opportunity. Because, hey, everybody could look through him. He was a phony. And so it's great to have someone like Pittman that kind of understands the vibe. We're not going to get the A+ recruits. We're not going to get the Keyshawn Johnsons and the Randy Mosses, but we're going to get a bunch of players like Leotis Harris and Jimmy Walker and Dale White and a bunch of players that play not professional, but championship level caliber football. And they're going to do it not because they're getting something under the table. They're going to do it because they have pride in the state of Arkansas and the University of Arkansas. And like you said, I played in Toby Keith's golf tournament last summer, and all he could talk about was his grandma had a bar in Fort Smith, and he grew up as a Razorback. And, he walked on with the Sooners when he was 18 years old. So, he grew up there in outside of Norman. But it's amazing how many closet Razorback fans there are. And if only we could win again, I think they would come out.
It's almost like that with the Bears. My grandfather, who was born in 1898, was a huge Bears fan his whole life, and
Oh,
he always talked about it. And you're still there. I mean, you bought into that culture. You live there. You do a radio thing. I mean, what's your life like now? You know, kind of as a somebody that all those fans remember what you did with the Bears, and I mean that was probably the best Bears team ever. The 20 Super Bowl team.
yeah, yeah. Actually, last year was the 100-year anniversary. We were voted the greatest team of all time, not just the Bear team. Uh, I, two things. Number one, I didn't know it when I came to Chicago. Of course, I wanted to play in Miami or LA someplace, right? Glamorous. Well, I didn't know it, but Chicago, it was the mecca of pro football. That's where it really started. And that if the old saying, if you can, make it there, you can make it anywhere. Well, I kind of figured out, hey, if we make this special, then it's going to be great for all concerned. And, bless Coach Dick his heart. He turned 80 years old last fall. And I don't think, other than George Hallis, there hasn't never been a coach that kind of signifies what a program actually meant to a community. Because Mike Ditka is, like I used to say, we got famous, he got rich. We got rings, he got a halo. And that's the way it is. It's like he's Saint Ditka, but it's warranted because, for a 5-year period with 7 different quarterbacks, we won more games than any team in NFL history. But unfortunately, we only had our starting quarterback healthy that 1 year. But it was a good year, and a lot of people appreciated that. And living here now, obviously they're brutal winters. I'm looking forward to getting some relief. My son will be a senior this year, so when he's done, I may be done. But all I know is Chicago has been a wonderful place for me.
Brandon Burlsworth, you didn't know him, but he's on the ballot with you, and there's an inspiring story there, and it has to do once again with what you've been talking about. That whole thing, he wanted to be a Razorback, and he was a walk-on, and he took his opportunity and turned it into to become a number 2 draft choice, for the Colts, and was probably going to start as a rookie.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's a rags to riches story, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of like mine. My father passed away when I was 12, and then, I fell out of a tree and I was in a wheelchair, and I didn't have a whole lot of guidance. And the next thing you know, the great Bill Reed talked me into coming out and playing football. And then one thing led to another. And then I think it's the American dream. All you can ask for is an opportunity. Everybody's screaming, oh, I want this, I want that. No, it should be equal opportunity for everyone. And then not equal outcome. If you would have looked at the 30 scholarships and Frank Worrells would have rated them, I would have probably been one of the last 2 or 3. And Jimmy Walker, they have made All-American. He was the last guy signed. He was signed out of the All-Star game. He had a great game at nose tackle, and they signed him, and he played defensive end for us. So it doesn't mean, what someone projects you to be. It means what you want to be and what you are capable of becoming. And that's what Burlsworth did. It's a great story. He's just a kind of a normal kid that just said, hey, I want to be a Razorback. And when you get there, then it's not peer pressure. It's just a will to succeed that makes you do all the things you have to do, the extra hours of training and work and all those things. And it pays off. And, that's a great thing about life. Mike Dick has said this many times. He said, in the NFL, a lot more players are in the NFL due to work ethic than talent level. And there's a truth. Now, if you can get some talent and you're a hard worker, then you got a chance to be pretty good.
You probably felt like you were in luxury because you got there in time for that new Broyles Center. And so that was nice, locker rooms and all that. And they had AstroTurf down on the field. But it still was a weird place. You had those 2 half houses out there, and there was nothing on the south end but some erector set bleachers. And then you had that grass field and a half with that stupid thing, that rope thing you guys had to climb. And when you go back there, I still remember when Ken Hatfield came back, and it hadn't changed nearly as much. But now it's almost unrecognizable. Somebody took a picture, showed me a picture on the internet of 75 and what that all looked like. And I mean, it's not even recognizable anymore.
No, and think about this. Barn Hill had just underwent the start of a renovation as well. And, you know, that's when Eddie Sutton came. And it was, I mean, Eddie and I think Lou came at the same time. And it was almost like a revitalizing of the spirit of the Arkansas Razorbacks. And not only football, and nobody ever gave a damn about basketball up until then. But, you know, the triplets of, you know, Sidney and Marvin Dell lived next door to me in Wilson Sharp. I mean, it was a great life. It was a great time. All the food you could eat. You got $8 a month for a laundry check so you could wash your clothes. What else did you need? It was great.
I think it's 1,200 now or something like that. It's a little different.
Oh, it's crazy. That just, but again, going back to 1975, I really feel like that, you know, so much of, and again, someone told me that they did a poll here recently, the most favorite Razorback team of all time, and that was the Orange Bowl team that beat Oklahoma. And for so many reasons, that's a Cinderella story. You know, here we are in the shadow of Oklahoma, and they're winning national championships, and then all of a sudden, head to head in a major bowl, and we kick the hell out of them. I mean, that's a great story. Well, obviously being voted number one team. So in both of the programs that I played, I'm a part of the greatest teams of their era. And, you know, again, you pinch yourself and say, wow, you know, who would have saw that coming? It was pretty good.